What's up, Cleftones? This is Darren from CleftoneGrooves.com, and the last couple of weeks we've been talking about how to set up a mix minus using mixing hardware. This week, one last time, we're going to visit that subject, and we're going to talk about how to do that using software. So by now, you are surely mix minus experts using all the tips and tricks I've shown you thus far in the last two episodes, but I wanted to show you just one more way of how to set that up, because it's always good to know how to do things more than one way when it comes to audio. And then two, when you're learning a new concept, being able to grasp it comes a little bit easier when you're able to see different approaches to get the same result. So I'm going to just do a quick refresher here really quick and just explain what is a mix minus, why should we care to use one, and then also on top of that, when is the best time to use it? So let me paint a picture here for you that will answer all three of those questions at once. So you're a radio interviewer type person, you do a podcast, people call into your show and you interview them. And let's say you're in a studio or a radio station, you're using a microphone to communicate with that person. Well, for you to send your microphone signal to that person on the phone, chances are that if you don't have your audio equipment set up right, you could be sending a feed of your interviewee back to them through your audio gear. So they could be hearing a mimic or an echo of themselves just slightly delayed after every time they speak. So think back when you were growing up with your brother or your sister. As little kids, you played that mimicking game with each other. How long did that take before that got on your nerves? And how long did it take before you couldn't think straight because you had this knucklehead following you around all the time trying to mimic every single thing you said? So imagine that going on for a 10 or a 20-minute interview. You really owe it to yourself to provide that professional courtesy to the person that you ask to come on your show, that they have as little distraction as possible so they can really be engaged with you, and thus, by all of this, keep your production quality very high for any one of your shows that you put on for all of your listeners. I mean, your people that you invite on there are going to have information, surely that's going to benefit your listeners. It's going to change their lives in some cases. So why not help them help you keep your production quality stellar, so to speak. But anyway, I have with me on my laptop PreSonus Universal Control software, and we're going to jump right into that, and I'm going to show you how to do this. First, I would like to tell you, yes, I'm very much a fan of PreSonus software and hardware all around. But any audio interface that you get nowadays that has multiple outputs on it, like the mixer I was showing you last week, or Focusrite, they have audio interfaces now. A lot of those audio interfaces come with their own version of what's called DSP software. In other words, what I'm getting ready to show you for PreSonus. Focusrite has mix control, Motu has their own DSP software, and now we're going to take a look at PreSonus's. So this is Universal Control by PreSonus, and you notice that I've got my Studio Live 16 mixer plugged into my computer here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the picture of the Studio Live 16, and you can see right away that I have channel 1 turned up. That's how you're able to hear me. Don't get nervous with all these faders and buttons and knobs that you see on the screen. This is very well laid out. It's pretty much just like the mixer that I was using last week. In fact, if I can go as far as to say it is the mixer that I was using last week. So if you saw last week's video, then you already know how to use this software. That's what I love about PreSonus. They lay everything out so commonsensically, if that's even a word. But yes, we are on the main mix. Notice, remember I pointed that out on the mixer last week, that we were on the main mix at one point. That's that big button right here that says main, and then what also looks similar, aux outputs. We have our aux mixes here. And we will get to that in just a second, but it's very much like those little yellow buttons that you saw me press last week to set up a mix minus setup. So now if you think back to last week, how I had my phone plugged in, because of the type of plug, I could only go into, the lowest number was channel 9 on my mixer, because that was where the combo jack started, right? So my input from my phone will still go into channel 9 in this same instance. So I need to come to channel 9, select it, and the first thing before I bring up the fader is just bring up the level a little bit on the pre-gain, and then bring the fader up. Now I don't have anybody that I can call for you today. But you have seen this demonstrated twice now, so it's all good. Just running through the software to help you understand how to do this mix minus with the software. So again, we bring up the pre-fade after selecting the channel, then we bring up the fader. So again, on the main mix, now you can hear me, you can hear the other person on the line who we would theoretically be talking to. But again, we have to make sure that our main output is up on this mix so that our listeners can hear. So I'm bringing up our main output. And then the other thing is we need to be able to send a signal to the person on channel 9 on the phone without them getting themselves there on channel 9. So remember last time we were coming out of flex mix or auxiliary mix out number 7. So if I go over here to number 7, they can't hear me, right? Because my fader for channel 1 is down. And on top of that, the master for aux 7 is down. So again, you're starting to see the similarities here between all the videos I've done on this before versus today with the software. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the master up on aux 7. And I'm also going to bring up the master on channel 1, which is me. So now if we had a person on the phone, they should be able to hear me, just like we did on the mixer last week. If I was to bring up channel 9, remember what happened when I did that for Devin, who I called, my buddy Devin. He said, oh yeah, I can hear this echo. I can hear a delayed sound of me. So we minused Devin out of the mix here by making sure channel 9 was turned down. And it's really, really that simple, guys. And then if we go back to the main mix, I kind of briefly touched on this last week about if you had multiple hosts that were doing your show with you. So let's say you had 3 other hosts, right? So let's just take a moment to show you that really quickly. If I go to channel 2, now notice again, the preamp is currently turned down, so I'd have to bring them up to a suitable level. And then I would bring up their fader, right? Now this is just rough. I'm not hearing anything from that because I don't have anything plugged into channel 2 or 3 or 4, but it's essentially the same thing. So your main mix is what your listeners are listening to. So you go and you turn up those channels that you have microphones plugged into. I'm turning up my preamp here, and the same thing for channel 4. Now again, if those people need to be heard by your interviewee on channel 9, well, guess what? Not only do you want to turn up your radio co-hosts here, but you also want to go into aux 7. Notice how straightforward and simple this is. I'm bringing up channel 2, I'm bringing up channel 3, and I'm also bringing up channel 4, and we already have our master turned up from when I had it turned up when I turned channel 1 up. It's really that simple. Again, channel 9 is down, no echo, no delay, but all 4 of you guys now are able to be heard by your interviewee. And there you have it, folks. That's how you do a mix minus, the third and final way that I have to show you here using software. If you have any comments, any questions, thoughts, or anything, leave that in the comments section below. Really appreciate you guys checking out the videos. Thank you for all the love you guys have been showing me. Special shout out to Black CEO. If you guys haven't checked out that Facebook group, please go check it out. A lot of awesome people on there. The guy who runs the entire thing, Trevor Otts, amazing, mind-blowing guy. You should take some time to get to know him if you're ever in his presence. And the other thing too, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/cleftonegrooves.com. facebook.com/cleftonegrooves. Feel free to always reach out to me. And until next time, here's to getting better audio at home.